Hello and welcome to Prairie Pulse. Joining me today on the show are Sara Otte Coleman, the Director of Tourism for North Dakota, and the Lieutenant Governor of the great state of North Dakota, Drew Wrigley. Folks, thanks for joining me today.
Glad to be here.
As we get started, as we traditionally do, we'll start with Sara. Sara, tell the folks a little bit about yourself, your background, and then how you got to be State Tourism Director.
Well, I grew up in North Dakota and married a farmer and rancher, so we came back here after college, and I've enjoyed working in marketing my whole career. I started out in destination marketing at the Bismarck-Mandan Convention and Visitors Bureau and did that for about 15 years, started in convention sales, and worked my way into general marketing, and I've been the director for 11 years now, so it's been fun.
Wow, 11 years, okay. I can relate to that one, but and we'll kind of turn it over here, Lieutenant Governor Drew Wrigley. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you got to where you are.
Oh, I'm a lifelong North Dakotan, fourth generation Wrigley here in our state, and I went to the University of North Dakota, on to law school after that. Spent about 5 years as a state prosecutor, and then 8 years, a little over 8 years, as the United States Attorney for North Dakota. Following that, I spent a year in the private sector before I was asked to join Jack Dalrymple as his lieutenant governor, and then we were elected last year to a full term, and here I am.
Okay. Well, with that said, here you are, and you two are here today to talk about tourism in North Dakota as the summer season's approaching us, we hope quickly. Sara, recently you spoke to the State Tourism Conference in Fargo. Can you talk about what you did there and what you talked about?
Well, we talked a little bit about where we are at and some of the statistics and research and determining who our visitor has been the last few years, and then looking forward, you know, what we need to do to kind of position the state to be a good destination going forward. So there's a lot of opportunity for us in North Dakota. We're seeing huge development across the state, whether it's hotels or restaurants or dining or attractions, and so it's just a really exciting time, and we want to make sure we're engaging the partners in what we're doing so that we're all working together and marketing the state the best we can.
Yeah, I understand though you talked about hotels and new properties as well. What was the information there?
We have a few new hotels in this state. It used to be that we were really worried and had an availability problem. Our occupancy rates were way up there, and that has been resolved the last few years. We had another 1,350 hotel rooms, I believe, that opened last year. That was on top of similar numbers the previous 2 years. So we've seen really strong growth across the state in hotel rooms, and most of those they're throughout the state. So they're not all in the oil producing counties. I mean, people tend to think they're all in Williston or Watford City, but they aren't. They're really spread across the state. With meeting the needs across the state. Well,
and that was one of the questions. Yeah, did the oil boom create this? But you're saying across the state. But so is there still an issue with finding space and rooms out in that western part of North Dakota?
There really isn't. We do recommend that you still plan ahead and call ahead, especially if you've got dates that are not flexible. If you're going in for a special event or festival, you're going to want to make sure you book those rooms well in advance. But the occupancy rate, although we're still above the national average and the regional average, our occupancy rate has dropped into the upper 60s. So that means that there should be plenty of availability for people to just, get out there and enjoy the summer and find a room wherever they want to be.
But I assume during State Fair and Hustfest and things like that goes on, it creates that much more of an issue.
Yep, exactly. Plan ahead for those weekends. Get your rooms early.
Okay. Well, Lieutenant Governor, let's turn to you. There's a big year for North Dakota as we celebrate 125 years in the United States. What events do you have planned for sort of the spring, summer, and fall?
Well, you're right. It's an extraordinary time in our state. The status of our economy is #1 in the nation, and so much that's going right for our state. We're increasing our population, we're increasing jobs, increasing wages, you name it. And then it just happens that this is our 125th year since statehood, which we're going to celebrate the actual day on November 2nd. But before that, we're going to have a bunch of different events. There are regional events, activities going on all across the state, culminating in a statewide event on the Capitol grounds August 16th. And we really want to encourage people to travel out to Bismarck and spend at least that day, but come in and engage in a variety of activities. Sara and the great people over at the tourism department have done a terrific job of securing an array of musical talent that will fit everybody's taste, all from North Dakota, all with a distinctly North Dakota flavor. And the activities that day will be something that the entire family can enjoy, and it's going to be a special opportunity, really, these months leading up to it, and that day, August 16th in Bismarck, to celebrate our heritage, our culture, to acknowledge that we didn't get here by accident, and recognize what's important going forward as a state.
Well, and I guess you've had things in the paper, you're going to be advertising more or promoting more, I'm sure. But when you say a lot of things in family-oriented, you're going to have some entertainers performing, and what else can they expect when they show up at that event?
Well, it'll be a full day of entertainment, so the stage will probably start late morning. I think we're scheduled to start about 11 o'clock, and it's really entertainers that are going to appeal across all demographics. So Tiger Lily for the younger group. Chuck Suki will be returning. He was very involved in the centennial. We've got Robbie V doing a tribute to his father, Bobby V, and so and a number of other groups. The Blenders. Can't forget the Blenders. We've got Kevin Locke doing some hoop dancing, and I mean, it's just going to be a really fun mix. In addition, there will be a art exhibit, North Dakota art exhibit at the New Heritage Center. And there will be kids activities. We're going to have special presentations and entertainment for kids, as well as some other activities for kids, and of course food. We're going to have a food fair that'll be North Dakota themed foods there as well. Yeah,
you mentioned the Heritage Center. The opening with the remodeling of the Heritage Center has to be a big deal in North Dakota. Can you comment a little bit more on that?
It's an enormous undertaking, and it's an important public-private partnership that has added on extensive space and capability to the Heritage Center. And people are going to be extremely proud of what's been produced there, and a way, kind of a clearinghouse place for people to come in and assess all of the opportunities across North Dakota, but also get a sense of our history, our culture, what's important to us as a people. And it's very, very interactive. It's very cutting edge, and I think, I know that it's something that the entire state can be very, very proud of as a central point for travelers to come in, see the state, or those of us who are in the state who want to find other opportunities across North Dakota to go out and get a taste of something maybe we haven't experienced in our whole lives here. So what a great opportunity, and we're going to have that opening on the 2nd of November, although it's open now for business, so people should come out and take a look. It's really something.
Well, and you know, of course, when you go to the Heritage Center, what can people expect to see? You mentioned a little bit of that, but because when you go in, you think of a Heritage Center, is it just dusty old books, or what will people see?
We've kind of recoined it the State Museum at the Heritage Center. So the museum portion of it has just some unbelievably interactive exhibits. The kids are going to absolutely love the dinosaurs. You know, that whole gallery is just full, and there's technology that they can take the iPad and see the actual dinosaur moving, and so it's really taking it to that next level. The exhibits have been really done with interactivity in mind and across all age groups, and it's just a beautiful space.
Well, it does, and of course, watching it as it's progressed, it's been amazing. So, let's turn back, Sarah, to tourism numbers a little bit. Talk about the numbers. What did they look like in 2013?
We had a good year. We had a solid year in terms of tax receipts, which is kind of the main thing. Since we don't have sales, we kind of look at the sales tax off of those tourism categories, and those, of course, were all up. Lodging tax and entertainment and the hospitality taxes. So that was good. We did see a little bit of a decline in our park visitation numbers. We had a little tough weather year starting out, and then of course we had some closures with sequestration and then the government shutdown that really impacted us pretty dramatically, especially at Painted Canyon, because it's located so accessible right off of the interstate, and that's an easy place to measure people. So we didn't rebound from those, but for the most part everything was good and solid. Canadian border crossings were solid. Airport deplanements were up again, like 8%, and we've been up year after year after year. I mean, places like Dickinson and Williston, of course, they were up over 100% because of the increased air service. So overall, all of the metrics were strong.
Well, you mentioned sequestration, and some out there may still wonder, of course, what has finally happened with sequestration. Has that been totally settled, or are things still going on with that?
Well, I don't know that you're going to find anybody who's going to predict what's settled and what's not settled in Washington, but the parks are open, and we're looking forward to a great season. We have no reason to believe that there'll be any change in that condition. And you know, Sarah, and you were talking about the boardings with the airplanes. A lot of people will not try to dismiss, but will say, well, isn't that really just about the economic activity going on in the state? And you know, that's true, but you can't delink that from the tourist opportunities in the state and the opportunity for people to bring their families in for a long weekend or longer and decide for themselves whether their future, not just economically, but as a family unit, and where they want to spend that time in North Dakota. We have a variety of opportunities. The people at Tourism have done a great job, and people can go out there and look at that. It's lovend.com. It's LUVND.com. They should check out the site, find 125 ways and experiences across the state to love North Dakota. And so we're really trying to make sure that that stays linked to our economic activity. After all, tourism is the number 3 industry in our state, and this is a time where people are coming into the state for other activities. Let's make sure they experience the state in its fullness.
Okay. Sarah, as you talk about the numbers, are you able to chart where the people come from?
You know, we do visitor profile studies every other year where we're able to determine kind of where our traffic patterns are and where people are coming from. Minnesota is still the number 1 state, you know, in terms of visitor attractions. Year after year, they rank pretty high, and Wisconsin does too, which is always good to see because we do spend a lot of our marketing dollars in those markets. Then we look at other things like who interacts with our messaging, whether it's online, digital advertising, or if it's requesting traditional packets of information. This year, Illinois was the number 1 state for requesting more information, so that was kind of interesting.
Okay. Well, and then what are the most popular tourist destinations for people that come into our state?
Well, number 1 is Theodore Roosevelt National Park. That usually is consistently number 1, and even with the decreased numbers, they were solid this year again. Then when you go from there, a lot of times we end up with the venues. So the Fargo Dome, the Alara Center, the Ralph Engelstad Arena, and those are obviously huge community assets, you know, and as we were talking about, but they're also an asset, a visitation asset, because people are coming in for all of those concerts. You know, Fargo had so many great concerts this year, and you can break that down and look at the Ticketmaster numbers and see all the states that people are coming for, whether it's hockey games or you know, entertainment events. So those are always at the top of the list as well. Heritage Center wasn't this year because they were closed, you know, for most of the year, so they did drop off. But then we have some other museums that usually rank up there, as well as some of the major festivals, like you had mentioned, Hoostfest and State Fair, and even Red River Valley Fair is really becoming a very popular destination for visitors.
Well, okay, with that said, we've mentioned the oil boom a little bit, but how has the oil boom affected tourism? I mean, does it mean people shy away, or more people, or how has it affected, if you can judge that?
Well, I think probably the biggest impact it has had overall is that it's made people more aware of North Dakota. So they're seeing stories about us that started kind of with the boom and now are following with all the other economic good news that's coming out of the state. And so they're aware of it. And so they're curious, and whether that generates a trip or not, they're engaging with our marketing materials, and they're seeking more information because they really didn't know much about us previous. We see some interest in people who actually want to go out for oil tourism per se, where they want to go on a tour where they can actually see it. That usually is more group driven than it is individuals, although some of the attraction areas out in the west do some interpretation and give them some drive tours where they can see it. But we also see some people that are concerned that it's impacted the experience that they're used to having, you know, especially return visitors. And in most cases, when they get out there, they're happy to see that it really hasn't impacted Theodore Roosevelt National Park or any of the outdoor experiences that they enjoy.
Okay. Well, with that said, Lieutenant Governor, we'll turn back to you and some of the surveys that are out there about the happiest place to live, or a great place to live. What do those surveys mean to North Dakota, and how do y'all deal with those?
Well, there's a whole variety of them out there, and they capture this moment in time in North Dakota, and I think it taps into people's imagination about a place. The reality is, as I said, it comes down to our economic activity and our quality of life and the experiences that people can have here. A host of economic numbers are out there too about best place best place to do business. Number one for job startups. Number one place for people, young people wanting to move and start a life with their career and where they're going to spend their life. Those are exciting figures, but at the end of the day, what really matters to us most is what is the quality of life of the people who are living here, and who we want to draw into the state is what I call the new pioneers. Let's face it, we're the one state, we've got 25,000 unfilled jobs in North Dakota. Every variety that you can imagine, we need to draw in more people. And I know that that's a challenge, and we have challenges of prosperity right now, and that's what they are after all. We're having to increase our public infrastructure, our schools, and a variety of other things, but what a blessing. Right? I mean, for decades, we worked toward this moment where we could be expanding services, we could be expanding our schools, we could be expanding our infrastructure, our economy is growing. So those designations are very, very nice, but what they are is a tip of the hat to the people of North Dakota who are working so hard to ensure that we keep our place as I say, the number one economy in the nation and number one place to live.
Well, with that said, when you travel to conferences or to meetings or things, both of you for that matter, but you know, what's the view of North Dakota, and really how has that changed over the past 5 or 10 years?
Well, I mean, they're watching around the globe, not just the nation. I lead the North Dakota Trade Office, and I've been in this year to Ghana and China and Singapore. People are well aware of what's happening here economically, and it's a privilege to be able to share with them also the quality of life that we maintain. Encourage them to come to travel to our state for business, yes, but also for the experience of our people and the events here and what that quality experience they can have for themselves and their families. So the nation's watching, no question about it. There's a lot that they can learn from what's been done in North Dakota with low taxes, low regulation, a pro-business environment, an economy that is producing revenues that we can put into our infrastructure, into our schools. We're richly blessed, and we have challenges of that prosperity. There's no question about it. But I don't know many people who are thinking straight who wouldn't say, rather be in this situation than in a situation of contraction.
Mm-hmm. Well, Sara, what about you when you're going to your tourism conferences?
Kind of the same story. You know, everybody's intrigued, and for the longest time we were leading the nation in RevPAR, which is revenue per available room. Well, when we hit our peak, all of our rooms were sold out. That was when everyone else was in the recession. So I was kind of the envy of every other state tourism director for a long time, and that was kind of a fun position to be in.
Well, you know, the movie Fargo set a tone for this region for years, and maybe still does. Mm-hmm. Now the TV series Fargo is maybe setting a new tone or whatever. Is there any impact from that either one of you can talk about?
You know, you have to embrace it. So our travel industry conference was here during the premiere. So they went to the big event at the Fargo Theater. I unfortunately had a dinner that lasted too long, so I didn't make it to the premiere. And I haven't not seen a whole episode. I've just seen snippets, so I can't comment on the show. Have you seen the whole episode yet?
I haven't seen. The only TV I watch is your show. That's all. I haven't seen the show, but you know, face it, the movie was out there for a lot of years, and a lot of us have experienced meeting people from outside of the state or region who will say, you know, they think that it must be like the show Fargo or the movie Fargo, which I am quick to tell them was not filmed in Fargo and doesn't represent our people or our culture. And I'm with Sara, though. You embrace it. You have to be able to laugh in life. But at the end of the day, we really, I believe this, and I think people are increasingly recognize that we live in, we work in the greatest state and the finest nation on the face of the earth. I think that's real. And the country is becoming more and more aware of that all the time.
Yeah, well,
Fargo Moorhead Visitor Center loves it. They sell a lot of bomber hats.
Yeah.
You know, they love it.
So, well, with that said, Sara, talk about some of the other hotspot tourist destinations for people to go and see, especially in this summer.
Okay, well, some of the new things, of course, we talked about the Heritage Center expansion, which is a big one. It's the 10th year of the marathon, the Fargo Marathon this year, which I think there'll be a ton of traffic, you know, for that again. It's the 50th anniversary of the Medora musical, so that's always a good one to add to the list, and also the 50th year for Icelandic State Park. So that's nice and close, and that one is a fun park to go to. It's usually, it fills up quick with Canadians though, so if you want to get there, you got to make your reservations early. The Mattahay Trail also has completed their extension, so that epic mountain biking trail and horseback riding trail will have a dedication in June. And then we have a couple resorts that have expanded some of their offerings. One on both of them on Lake Sakakawea. One closer to Riverdale is doing a lot of rentals, paddle boards and paddle boats, and then Lund's Landing up by Williston has added some motorboat rentals. So we've seen some expansion of those recreation tourism offerings as well. So statewide, you know, and all the new restaurants, we had the bloggers and writers in a few weeks ago and toured downtown Fargo and got to experience all the great restaurants and some of the new retail offerings. And in the end, you know, we love outdoors, and that's what drives more visitors to North Dakota, but they spend the most on eating and shopping, so that's important parts too.
Okay. Yeah, you know, we mentioned Theodore Roosevelt a few times, but do you worry about the oil drilling infringing at all on the park? Not necessarily in the park, but even infringing and creating an issue.
Well, of course, it's not drilling in the park, but you worry about the perception for sure, and also recognizing that we've got twin stewardship responsibilities to our economy and to our environment. And you're not worthy of one if you can't respect the other. You have to. And it changes. I mean, the viewscape will change. If you're going to draw natural resources from the soil, those natural resources that are the lifeblood of our economy and our modern way of life, you're going to have to figure out a way to offset those impacts and blend our quality of life, our great spaces in the outdoor, with the recognition that we are a leader in energy development in the United States and increasingly around the globe. That's a big responsibility as well. So no better place to do it than North Dakota. Our people are engaged, our communities are engaged, and people should feel very comfortable with the idea that not just the leadership of the state, but also our communities are focused on preserving what is great about our state and recognizing our leadership role in energy development. We can do them both. And it doesn't mean there won't be impacts, but it does mean that we can do them both in a way that pays respect to our twin stewardship responsibilities.
Okay. Well, Sara, can you talk about the advertising? The use of the legendary brand has worked pretty well, but so tell us about that.
It has. We're going on 12 years of legendary now, so and it's starting to resonate. I think people are commenting on it, and really we promise all that's legendary. It was built on the fact that we had legendary stories to tell and legendary history, but legendary really can encompass everything from our service and our hospitality to our hockey and our football programs at the universities. You know, it really can apply to everywhere. So our advertising campaign, yep, again, we continue with the branding efforts, and the ad campaign is just rolling out now. Digitally started a little bit earlier, and now the television ads are starting to roll, you know, early May. And so we're excited to see some results from them.
Well, that was it. You know, what kind of advertising works well for you in getting people attracted to North Dakota?
We do return on investment research or ad effectiveness research off of every new campaign, and we do new creative every 2 years. So this is the first year of this creative, so we will measure it at the end of this year and not only determine which creative concepts, messaging resonated the best, but also which mediums delivered the best. So we really do a combination. We do television, a combination of print, or a combination of cable and broadcast. We do some direct response television. We also do a lot of digital. Digital and TV probably, you know, are pretty equal, and 20-some-odd% of our budget that we spend on those. And of course, the beauty of digital is you can really drill down and get at your potential visitor. We also do a lot of out-of-home, which has always performed really well in our research. So that's not just billboards, it's transit trucks that we wrap in legendary in Minneapolis, and transit wraps, and a combination of event venues, signage in subways. So we do a lot of that out-of-home kind of advertising. And then traditional print. We do a few sponsorships with a few local programs out in the outdoor area. So we really spread our budget out, and then of course we augment that with a great social media program and our public relations efforts.
Well, with that said, how is your department funded, and how many employees do you have?
We're all general funded, so we rely on the legislature to give us an appropriation every other year when they come to Bismarck, and then we take those those dollars. We do get some private sector involvement, of course, with some of our buy-ins and a lot of our programs. And right now I've got 13 people on staff.
Okay. Do the gas prices affect travel a lot, or as it affects North Dakota tourism, or not? We are a drive market. We get a lot of our visitation is drive, the majority of it, in fact. But we've found that people are desensitized to that
gas prices now. A few years ago, they were very sensitive to it, the peak of the recession. We usually put calculators on our website to show people that if the gas does jump X cents, what that would mean for your trip, like from Minneapolis to Bismarck, and we've done that for a number of years. It's really been effective because when they look at it and realize it's only $20 difference, they don't cancel their trip.
Well, we're running out of time. I had a lot more to ask you, but we'll ask you and give you an opportunity to hear what's the best part of your job, Sara?
The best part of my job is to go out and see all of what we have to sell. And I don't get to do that as much as I'd like to, but that's the best part, is experiencing it, because it's a lot easier to sell it if you really see it.
Well, Lieutenant Governor, same question.
Yeah, well, that's an easy one. Working with the great people of North Dakota to ensure that we recognize we didn't get here to this moment by accident, and we've got a big obligations to make the correct public policy choices going forward, and we're going to continue to do that. It's a privilege to serve. It really is.
And with that said, if people want more information, they want to find out more about tourism in North Dakota, where can they go?
They should go to ndtourism.com, because that'll give them everything, and then there's a direct link to the Love ND site with 125 ways to love North Dakota.
Oh, good. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Well, that's all we have on Prairie Post this week, and as always, thanks for watching.